In this lecture, I'm going to show you how to work with files in Node. So back in Node documentation, in the list of modules, here we have a module called File System. In this module, we have a comprehensive set of methods for working with files and directories. Now in this course, I'm not going to waste your time showing you every single method here because that would be very repetitive. But let me show you an example so you see how to work with files in Node. So back in VS Code, first we need to require the fs module. We get the result and store it in this constant. Now fs dot, look, almost every operation defined here comes in two forms: synchronous or blocking and asynchronous or non-blocking. For example, look, we have access, which is an asynchronous method. We also have access sync, which is a synchronous method. Now, even though we have these synchronous methods here, you should avoid using them. These are there purely for simplicity. In a real-world application, you should use asynchronous methods because these are non-blocking. So as I told you in the last section, a Node process has a single thread. If you're using Node to build the backend for your application, you might have several hundreds or thousands of clients connecting to that backend. If you keep that single thread busy, you won't be able to serve many clients. So always use asynchronous methods. Now that aside, let's take a look at an example. We're going to look at read, dir, or directory method. First, I'm going to show you the synchronous form because that's easier to understand. So, as the first argument, we specify the path. Period slash represents the current folder, and this will return all the files and folders in the current folder. So, files will be a string array. Now we can display that on the console. Very simple. So node app.js. So you can see we get an array of strings, and these are the files in this folder on my machine. Now let's take a look at the asynchronous form of this method. So fs.read directory. Just like before, the first argument is the path, so the current folder. Now all these asynchronous methods take a function as their last argument. Node will call this function when that asynchronous operation completes. We call this function the callback. So here, look, in the IntelliSense, the second parameter is a callback, and this is a function with two parameters, an error and result, which is in this case a string array. So here we need to pass a function or a callback function with an error and the result, which is a string array. We can call that files. So here we need to check if we have an error or the result. Only one of these arguments will have a value and the other will be null. So if we have error, we're going to display it on the console. Error, error. Now this is not how we handle errors in a real-world application, but don't worry about this. Later in the course, we have a complete section about error handling in Node. For now, we just want to display this error on the console. So if you have an error, we display it. Otherwise, we display the result. So console.log result, and we can display this string array. So I'm going to comment out these two lines so we can only look at the result of this asynchronous read directory. Now node app.js. So we got result, and this is exactly the string array that we had before. Now let's simulate an error. So I'm going to go back in the code and change this argument to, let's say, a $sign. Save. Back in the terminal. Node app.js. This time we got an error. No such file or directory. So to recap, in order to work with files and directories in Node, first you need to require the fs module, and then use one or more of the methods defined in this module. All these methods come in pairs, asynchronous and synchronous. Always prefer to use asynchronous methods.